Hi everyone! Tonight's video is on protein structure and shape, and it is a follow-up to the Introduction to Proteins video on this YouTube channel. If you haven't watched that one first, you should before watching this video. So proteins have two general categories of shape, and they're pictured here. They can either be fibrous proteins, as is pictured on the left, which kind of looks like stringy proteins, or they can be globular. Globular kind of looking like a blob, a little bit more lumpy. Globular proteins do things like they make reactions happen or transport substances or transmit information, whereas fibrous proteins tend to be structural. So those were general categories of shape. How is the specific shape of a protein determined? Well, there are 4 levels of structure. And the first is called the primary structure, and that is the order of amino acids. So proteins are polymers of amino acids, and there are 20 different amino acids, as you learned in the Introduction to Protein video. These amino acids are connected by a peptide bond, which is a covalent bond. And the order of these 20 different amino acids forming this polymer in terms of a protein is what is called the primary structure. So each amino acid differs in their R group. Their R groups have different properties. So the order of amino acids in a protein influences the shape because each amino acid has slightly different chemical properties. The next level of structure is called secondary structure. This is formed by hydrogen bonds between the backbone of amino acids. The R groups are not involved. Again, if this doesn't make sense to you about backbone and R groups, you need to go back to the Introduction to Proteins video. So these hydrogen bonds between the backbone leads to one of 2 shapes, either an alpha helix, which kind of looks like a curly Q here. The scientific term, however, is alpha helix, not curly Q. Or it could be a beta pleated sheet that looks a bit like a folded fan. Which of these 2 shapes is determined by the primary structure? So the order of amino acids is going to determine whether the alpha helix forms or the beta pleated sheet forms. The tertiary structure is really the big one in terms of determining the overall shape and therefore the function of the protein. So tertiary structure forms the overall 3-dimensional shape of the protein, and it's that 3-dimensional shape of a protein that determines its function. So this is critical to protein function. So let's look at a protein. And here we have this purple line is indicating the backbone, that NCC backbone. But tertiary structure is formed by R group interactions. It's not formed by backbone interactions. So we have several different interactions between R groups that can fold the tertiary structure. So you've already got your primary structure, which is your order of amino acids, and your secondary structure that is formed by the hydrogen bonds between the backbone, which gives you either the alpha helix or the beta pleated sheet. This is then going to be folded on top of each other, kind of in an origami type way, by these interactions in the tertiary structure. These can be hydrogen bonds between R groups that have a hydrogen and others that have a very electronegative element like a nitrogen, oxygen, or a fluorine, and that can form a hydrogen bond, which would then bend the protein this way. It can also be formed by covalent bonds between 2 sulfur atoms in different R groups. So if we have an R group with a sulfur here and an R group with a sulfur here, under the correct conditions, they can actually form a covalent bond and again, bend this protein with this very stable bond. There can also be ionic bonds between positively and negatively charged R groups, which again would aid in this bending or tertiary structure. Finally, there are some R groups that are hydrophobic, meaning they water hating is what that word means. So they cluster together to try to stay away from the water. So if we have a hydrophobic R group here and a hydrophobic R group here, they're going to cluster together to try to hide from the water. And again, this is going to form another bend in the tertiary shape of our protein. So it's the tertiary structure that forms the overall 3-dimensional shape, And that three-dimensional shape determines the function of the protein. So really, when you're looking at the function of the protein, it's all due to its tertiary structure. All proteins have primary, secondary, and tertiary structure. But some proteins work as a group of 2 or more proteins together. They work as a conglomerate of proteins. And so when we have 1, 2, 3, 4, in this case, proteins working together, we call that their quaternary structure. So each one of these individual proteins has a primary, secondary, and tertiary structure, but together they have a quaternary structure. And the best example of this is actually pictured here, and it's hemoglobin, which is a molecule that carries oxygen through our blood and to our cells. And it's composed of 4 protein subunits, which together can hold on to oxygen and transport it around our body. So to review, all of our proteins have a primary structure, and this is the order of amino acids. So we have amino acid 1 connected by a peptide bond to amino acid 2, to another peptide bond to amino acid 3, etc. And then all proteins have a secondary structure, which is formed by hydrogen bonds between the backbone, between that NCC backbone. That's going to lead to either an alpha helix or a beta pleated sheet. And then these would be folded on top of the alpha helix and on top of the beta pleated sheet by interactions between the R groups to give the tertiary structure, which gives the overall three-dimensional shape of the protein and is the most important level of protein structure for the function of the protein. Then only proteins that act as multi-subunit complexes have quaternary structure. So this is optional and only for proteins that work together in subunits. So you should know for each of the 4 levels of protein structure, what type of bonds are involved. Are they covalent bonds? Are they hydrogen bonds? Are they ionic bonds? And you should know whether those bonds are between the backbone or between the R groups. You should know which level of protein structure forms the overall 3D shape of the protein. And there's a hint, it's right there. You should know which levels of protein structure are found in all proteins and which level are found only in some proteins. So that's all for tonight.